Good morning. Today I am doing a podcast about September, Saturn in Pisces. Now, it came across my way of thinking that basically we are going into a time where in some ways you could think of spirituality as maybe going to be a bit more awakened within us. A lot of the talk of the astrology of Saturn going into Pisces is that it's just going to create confusion and loss and lack of discipline and all of that. But I became aware of a thought that maybe not. Maybe, our tendency is to sensationalize and say things are really the sky is going to fall and things are going to go very, very wrong. And I got to thinking, maybe that's not really true. Maybe that's not what's happening right now. And the reason I'm thinking so is because of the Dali Lama's chart, who has Saturn in Pisces and is a very disciplined spiritual soul. Now, I suspect for some, it will lead to confusion and disheartened emotions, because really we have to be where we're at. We evolve as we are, and a gear isn't going to turn if it has never turned. It's not going to just suddenly be there. So you have to be in a state of awareness and openness for that gear to actually turn and make sense. So our example in this sense is the Pope, who has Saturn in Pisces. And in Regis Montanus, it's in the 9th house of higher education or otherworldly learning. So here we have the Pope, and then he has Cancer on the ascendant. His sun in Cancer right on the ascendant. So who is he? He was somebody that came to teach us about love, compassion, endurance, as he's endured a good deal. In fact, when I went to do his chart to just take a closer look for myself, one of the things that is obvious is that he is from Tibet, which is called China now, which is, again, taking from one culture to mislabel and create another that isn't really so. So yeah, kind of Piscean in that sense, right? Kind of messy and lost. And where does he really come from? Well, he comes from Tibet, and I want to honor Tibet as an independent culture, because occupied culture isn't the same thing as China. It's occupied. It's not. It's Tibet. So that's all I'm going to say about that. And he has Mars in his 4th house, where he has to suffer the indignities, and that's in Libra, where he has to suffer the indignities of loss. I'm kind of looking at the chart here as I'm speaking to you, because what I think I'm saying is, don't just naturally expect the worst possible manifestations as Saturn goes into Pisces in March. As I think what we're going to see is like we see now. Some people are going to evolve and some are not. Some are going to go back to rethinking. And that's because their gears haven't turned to the point that this actually turns their gears. You have to be there in order for it to be so. So today I am going to take the Sacred Visionary Oracle, and I'm going to pull cards and just ask about March as we go into Saturn in Pisces, and how will that look, as I'm just kind of feeling hopeful for those of us who work really hard in the light working sense, that this is going to be our day, our hour, which is really interesting to me. Okay, and so what do we get? Yes, the fruit of life. We are coming up upon a time where we are going to really have our inner lotus flower, the gem of who we are, be revealed to the sacred geometry of life itself. And in this sense, those of you who are ready are going to be providing a lot of support to those around us, because it is a gift that we're going to give, and hopefully keeps giving, that it unfolds and creates strength within our community. Because as I said yesterday, and it is so very true, I'm a raindrop, you're a raindrop, and each of us need each other. And when one raindrop is not right, none of the raindrops are right. And this, you are innately ill because, well, your spirituality somehow suggests you should be, is a lie that we've been told. And in the meantime, in our system, we've gotten chemicals poured into our bodies by the truckloads, over most likely 60,000. And the latest pokey, they said no RNA, and 28 days later, you're still making RNA. There's a lot of things being said that are quite delusional. So yeah, Saturn in a way is going to be dependent upon who it is, a blessing or perhaps a curse. Up to you. What gear do you want to see turned? So to move on in the reading, and I'm doing the sacred geometry, we have swallow the sun. For many, as I say, it will be dark. And for others, it's going to be light. It's going to be opening up your mind and your eyes in all kinds of ways. And I know for me that I'm having profound visions right now. I'm having profound senses of what's happening. And what's really creepy is I work daily with my co-partner, and she and I talk, and a lot of times I'll say something and she'll say, oh my God, I had a dream about that last night. And we document. So it's already happening in some ways for some of us. There's always a foreshadow. And it's not that I'm predictive and able to see the future. That's not it at all. And I don't even want that job. I prefer just to say that I observe the energy and lightly suggest what I think I see because of the energy I'm observing. So I'm not predicting, and I don't really like predicting. Living in the future often creates anxiety for us, so why do it? And as we go into this Saturn in Pisces, many of us could very well become anxious because spiritually our doors are being knocked upon. And I know that myself recently, I got a new guide that was quite interesting, and it related not just to myself, but to my partner, who she and I read together, and it fit for both of us. It had to do with us doing hard work building, and our new guide is called Taurus. And I realize how cheeky, right? But not necessarily. So right here, the sun is going to shine down upon some, and others are going to feel the foreboding of the darkness. But it's up to you how you want to see it. It is how you want to see it. Things are going to unfold, both good and bad, as they always do, maybe in a little bit faster succession at this point. But no reason to get all dramatic, for sure. And I know a lot of astrologers are predicting, oh my goodness, this guy will be blah, blah, blah. But you know what? We don't know that. We really don't. Astrologers only can follow the energy just like anybody else. And the way the gears unfold up to each and every one of us individually. And the final card in this reading is the Gaia grid. What is it that's really happening? As above, so below. As within, so without. And that we live on a living, breathing planet called Earth, called Gaia. And how we treat Gaia, in a lot of ways, has been delusional. And perhaps Saturn is here to say, wake up. You can't continue in this dark sense that you've been practicing, for instance, plastics in the ocean, different things that are people throwing their cigarette butts on the ground, and I can tell you, I go hiking and I clean up cigarette butts, and I always come away with pockets full of cigarette butts. It's a very gross thing. I walk around with a napkin and I pick up cigarette butts that people come here to Hawaii and leave behind, because I guess they figure we're trashy people, I guess, and it reflects in the way they treat us. But they also treat themselves as if it's trashy, and they treat Earth as if it's trashy. As above, so below, as within, so without. And at some point, we cannot assume that this living, breathing body called Earth isn't going to shake us off and send us packing. So you don't know. I don't know. We have to behave ourselves within that means. And I know that for myself, I'm doing everything I can to reduce plastics. The way I do my trash, I bio, I recycle, I bury my food debris. There's lots of things you can do. But I'm hopeful for our future, even though it does seem dark and dismal. Often it's always the darkest before the dawn, and I realize how cliche that sounds. Please do consider hitting the like, share, and subscribe, and joining myself and Maha's Treasure Box, in a lively discussion of what you may think is coming. Leave comments. Don't be fearful. Things aren't going to be any different than what you, in this pre-life, as a matter of fact, agreed to for your own soul's growth. And with that, do consider booking a reading. Hit like, share, and subscribe. And thank you so much for joining me here today.